What's up, guys? So today we're going to continue our inventory system, and I'm going to teach you how to create the widgets to show up our slots here on the screen. Okay, so let's begin. First thing we need is go to the inventory folder, widgets, and we're going to create the widgets that we need. So here, let's go to user interface, widget blueprints, select user widgets, and call it WB tile. Okay, so this will represent each one of our slots. Now here, we're going to search for size blocks so that we can set a size to it. We're going to check width override and height override and set something to 98. Now here, we're going to change to desired so that we can see the changes here. Now, next thing is add a background. So I'm going to add a border over here like this, as you can see. Now I'm going to set the padding to 5 so we can have a small distance. The brush color over here is going to be black, something like 0.4 or 0.25 on the alpha. Okay, and here on the padding as well, we're going to make this even, like 5. Okay, the internal padding, and that's basically it. Now next thing we need is search for overlay, and we're going to add it to our border. Okay, and on this overlay, we're going to add the item image that we want to render and the quantity, for example. So here we're going to search for image. So image like this, drag it to the overlay. We can click this and fill up over there. Now, this image, we want to start it as invisible. So here on the visibility, let's change this to collapse. Okay, and now over here we can click here to actually hide it. Okay, so we only want to show this image if we have a thumbnail to use. Okay, now next thing we're going to add to the overlay is the text component like this. We're going to click it and move it to the bottom right like this. We're going to change the font to something like 14 and the text to 999, and the shadow color, we're going to set the alpha to 1. Okay, this way we have this nice effect. So that's basically it. Now we're going to select this image and rename it to item image. Okay, and check is variable. Okay, and here we're going to rename this to item quantity and make sure to check is variable. So that's basically it. Compile, save, and we have our tile. Okay, let's go to the graph now, and we can close all of this. And the thing we need now is to know which item represents this slot. So here on the variables, we're going to add a new variable called item. We're going to change this to st item, st inventory item, and this one we're going to make instance editable and expose on spawn. So this way, every time we create this tile, we can specify an item to apply the properties to the components. Okay, now over here what we're going to do is event construct. Okay, so when the component starts, we are going to grab the item like this. We're going to say break from this to get its values, and we're going to say hide unconnected, and we're going to expose the ID and the quantity. Okay, that's all we want over here. Now if the ID is not equal to nothing, which means is valid, so branch. So if the ID is valid, then we want to change the quantity text. So let's grab the quantity, get, say set text, this one, and we can connect this over there. Okay, now from here we're going to say format. We're going to use those variable things. So when we put this characters here and say quantity, and then move over here and say x, as you can see now we can have a pin to pass the quantity. So we're going to connect that over there. Now if the item is not valid over here, we want to set the text to nothing. Okay, so we're going to grab this component and set the text to nothing if we don't find an item. Okay, now next thing we need to do is to apply our image. So here we're going to create a custom event for that. So add custom event and call it set image. Now this one we're just going to get the item over here like this. Okay, we can go here and hide and connected and expose only the thumbnail, because that's all we need. So here we're going to say async load to load this texture. We're going to cast to the texture. Make sure you connect this to the completed. Okay. Now we can grab the item image, and we can say set brush from texture, this one. Okay, and this way we can set the brush based on the image. So we can connect this here, and that's basically it. Now, last thing we need to do here, since we set the item image to collapsed, we want to show it if the item is actually loaded. So here we can copy the item image, we can say set visibility, and we can set the visibility to visible. Okay, so this way we only show that component if we can actually load the texture. Okay, and that's basically it. Now over here on the construct, when we find the item and we apply the quantity, we want to call this set image function. So here, grab the set image, connect it there, and that's basically it. So that's it basically here on the tile. The other thing we need to do is create another component which will render multiple slots. Okay, so here on the content browser, let's create a new user interface, widgets, user widgets, WB slots. Okay, just call it WB slots. Now here we're going to add a horizontal box so that we can display items horizontally. We're going to basically go over here and say desired on screen. Now we can click this to find it. As you can see, it's right there. Now we're going to change the name of the variable to slots list and check is variable. Okay, that's basically it. Compile, save. Now let's go to the graph, clear all of this, and we're going to create a function that will fill up that horizontal box with a bunch of slots. Okay, so here on the functions, we're going to call it fill. This will receive an input, which will be order, okay? And this will be a name, and it will be an array of names, okay? So this will basically be our slots that we will send, and we will know which item is on each slot. Now, on the inputs, we're also going to add the items, and this will be a name, yes. This will be changed to map, and now here we'll change to st item. Okay, st inventory item. This way we'll have the format exactly as it is on our inventory component. So an array of IDs, which is the slots, and a map of items, which is our items. Okay, now here we're going to say for each, okay, for each loop, connect this over there. From here we can say get order to get the function inputs, and now we can say get items, and from here we can say find. So for each slot that we are trying to render, we're going to get it to the items list, okay, and basically get the values that we need. Okay, now what we're going to do here is create widget and we're going to create the tile that we just created, so the WB tile, like this. And as you can see, now we can pass an item, so we can connect this over there, and that's basically it. Now, on the slots list, we need to make sure that we add this tile to the list. So here we can grab the slots list. We can say add child to horizontal box, and we can connect the child over here, and that's basically it. Now, important thing is on the beginning, every time that you call this function, is important that you clear this list. Otherwise, you're going to be adding, and you don't want that. Okay, so here we're going to say get slots and say clear children. Okay, this way we clear up the list before we update it, and that's basically it. So now this component should render our slots. Okay, now next thing we're going to do is create a general widget where this widgets will be inserted, so that you can add, you know, more things there, the player stats and everything. So that's basically it. So here, create new user interface, widget blueprints, user widget, and call it WB HUD. Okay, open it up. Now let's add a canvas panel, which will represent our screen like this. Now here we can go to user created and find our WB slots that we just created. And as you can see, it's right there. We can click it, check size to content. Okay. And now we're going to anchor that to the bottom right. And here we're going to say 0, 0, 0, 0. And here we're going to say 1 and 1. And now from the position X, we're going to take 60. And from the position Y, we're going to take 60 as well. So this way it will be right there, and all slots will be on the bottom right corner. Okay. So compile save. Now what we need to do is make sure that we give to this slots the items that it needs. So if we go to the graph now, we can clear all of this. We can get the events construct. Okay, this one. And we can grab the WB slots. And as you can see, if I call the fill function, I'll be able to pass it the items that I need. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is organize this in a way that the HUD component will always have access to the inventory system, and all the nested components within it will just receive the data they need to render. Okay. So over here, I'm just going to add a custom event called update. Okay. And over here, I'm going to grab this fill, and this will be connected over there. Now, what we need is a reference to our inventory components to be able to access it. Okay. Now, since widgets only exist on the client, if I say get player character, this will actually return me the player that is actually playing the game and not the server character. Okay. If you call this on a replicated component, this will always return the character from the server and not the actual player that is playing. But since widgets are not replicated and they only exist on the client, this will allow us to access everything inside our character. So from here, if I say get component by class, I can now select the AC inventory. I can promote this into a variable, call it AC inventory, right? And now I'll have access to all the functions. So to give the items, to get items, so I have everything. Okay. So now what I can do is get this AC inventory reference and say get slots to get the slots variable and connect it to the order. And here I can say get items to get the items variable and connect it to the items. So this way I will populate that slots widget with the information that is coming from my inventory. Okay. Now, very important, we need to call the update function as well when we start this component. So if we drag the update function over there, connect it over here, and now if we hit play, nothing happens. And the reason for that is because we need to create this HUD component somewhere so that it shows up on the screen. Okay. Now, we're going to do that on our inventory. Okay, so let's go to the contents, inventory, blueprints, actor component here. Let's go to the event graph, right click, close other tabs to organize this. And now what we're going to do is a function to create that UI. So here we're going to create a new function called create UI. We're going to change this to private and then move to the private category. Now over here, we're going to create a new variable called HUD. This will be a user widget soft class reference. And now I can grab this. I can say load. Now from here, I can say cast to user widget. From here, I can say create widget. And then here I can say add to viewport to add the widgets to the screen. And now I can grab this and promote it into a variable so that I can have a reference for it. So UI, that's what I'm going to call it. And this way, I am able to use my WB HUD without a hard reference. So now if I go to the HUD variable, I can go over here and select the WB HUD, and this is going to be the widget that's going to be created when I start my inventory component. This is useful because when you add the components to the character, you'll have all those settings available for you. So you can actually select different UIs to use based on that, okay? So that's basically it. Now we need to go to the event graph over here, and we're going to call the create UI function. Now, one thing we need to do is make sure that this function is only called if we are a local player and if we're not an NPC. So we can compile and save. We can go back here to our pickup, and we can open this macro that we have over here to check if it is a player. We can select it, Control C, go back to the inventory component, Control V, and now we have a macro to check if this is a player. So what we're going to do is go back to the event graph, compile save, and move this a little bit. Grab the isPlayer macro, connect it over there, and to the true over there. And here what we're going to do is get owner, okay, cast to character, and then connect this over there. So we are only going to create the UI if this is a character and the character is a player, okay? So this way, now if we compile and save and hit play, as you can see, we should have our slots on the bottom right position, okay? Now, if we pick up an item, nothing happens. And the reason for that is because our widget doesn't know that our inventory changed. So is not detecting changes to be able to update itself, okay? So we're going to do that right now. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is create an event dispatcher on our inventory component, which will be able to listen from other actors, okay? So here, event dispatcher, we're going to create and call it on update. And now we need to make sure that we call this from within this component on certain places so that we trigger update changes, okay? So here on the GIF function, for example, if you receive a new item over here and over here, okay, we can expand this too. We can move this here and move this here. And now we can grab the on updates, say call like this. And then we can copy this one and paste it over there and call it over here. So every time we receive a new item or we update an item value, we are going to trigger this event, okay? Now, next thing is on the equip function as well. We're just going to paste this over here and call the on update. And on the clear hand as well, like this. And on the drop function as well. And we can move this bottom part over here, and we can actually put that over here, okay? And one important thing that we need to do is make sure that when we drop an item, we actually remove it from the slots. So we can grab the unbind function that we created before. We can connect this over here. We can connect the slots to the array, and we can say which item we want to unbind. So it will be, in this case, the current item, okay? We can connect this over here, and that's basically it. So now, essentially, each time that this function is called inside this component, I will be able to listen to that from other actors and do something based on that. So here on the WB HUD now, for example, what I can do is move this a little bit and say binds to on update. So this way I'll be able to trigger some events when this on update function is called on the inventory, okay? So from here, the event, we can say create widget, create event, and select the update event that we created, this one. And every time this is called within the inventory, we're going to update our slots, okay? So if we compile save now and we hit play, you should see when I pick it up, you should see a number there. We don't have an image because we don't have thumbnails yet. And if I pick up the pistol, the second item, and if I pick up the rifle, the third item. And now if I drop the rifle, you'll see that the number disappeared from the slots, okay? Now, last thing we're going to do here, guys, is add our thumbnails. So I don't have for the cube, but I do have for the pistol and the rifle. So we can close all of this now. we can go to contents, weapon system, resources, meshes. I can just drag it over here. So I have these two thumbnails. If you want, they're on the description. Just going to drag it in. Now that we have them, right click, asset actions, bulk edit. On compression settings, change to user interface, and on texture group, change to UI. File, save all, close this, and that's it. Now let's go to our inventory data table and add that in. So inventory data table, and on the cube, I'm going to select just an engine image, this one, the UI logo, okay? And for the pistol, I'm going to select the pistol texture, and for the rifle, I'm going to select the rifle. So what is it? This one, okay? Save, close, play, and if I pick up the cube, there's a thumbnail over there. If I pick up the rifle, we have the rifle over there, and if I pick up the rifle, we have it over there. Okay, so everything is working nice, guys. This is how you can basically display the items that you currently have on the slots, and I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something with it, and don't forget to subscribe.